imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Heislick and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. In the darkest of nights, gonna let my light shine as my heart beats a rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. I'm becoming fearless. What is up, everyone? Take me from the screen. It's your man, Frank Castle. Your sorcerer supreme, right here each and every Saturday night on Fearless. I'm joined by Paula Milo, my etherical translator.
Hey, everyone.
Hey. How you doing?
Good.
I'm pressing buttons. I'm doing stuff. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's up or what's down. But I do know a few things that others don't know. We're transforming. See, I put my hand nicely on you. We're transforming.
No, I saw that.
Look, it looks like monkey rough, like, oh, but it's really not. It's really soft and gentle, so nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing today?
I'm good.
You got to talk into that thing.
I'm awake. I'm alive.
Yeah, pull this bad boy down.
I'm good.
Let it get in your face.
I'm good. Thanksgiving's over. Now we just got to get through Christmas.
Right through Thanksgiving. All right, so I find myself enjoying hanging out with people individually and not on holidays now. And I'm not including you.
No, I know.
You know what I'm saying?
we
can just hang out.
You have to be able to hang out with me because there's nowhere else to go.
There's only cats. But so weird things have happened this week, but conversations that I've had with people, so interesting. And then something happened within me. And I'm sorry if I'm a little nasally. I think I have a head cold or something. But like I found in trying to discuss what we do with someone else, a lesson that I learned, but it wasn't like, oh, you learned a lesson. It was like, oh, upgrade, right? It like came right before I would start getting into it and yapping again. It was what made me just step out and go, nope, you're right. And I'm going to fully explain in a moment.
Okay.
So my cousin and his wife, or his girlfriend,
yeah,
they want to drink or do so, they want to have an experience.
Yeah,
right?
and I think they're ready. For the most part, I think they're ready. This has been going on for the last couple of years, and Frank was like, no, you're not ready. And you have to do the things that you have to go on the diet and follow the instructions and not be on medication, and there's a very strict guideline that you have to follow when you make the decision to drink. And for a couple of years they weren't ready, but I think they're pretty ready. I would have to say they're pretty ready, and I don't think we can but I think they're ready to drink.
Thank you for being in this now moment with us, each and every one of you. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, and cuz if you're watching or if you watch later, both of you, not snapping, not bringing forth an argument of any kind, and not shaming anyone in any which way, shape, or form.
Oh no,
But
no.
so the conversation was, I'd like to understand more of what this hologram is you speak of. So that's what she said to me. He said, there is no hologram. You're in a simulation. Now, this is coming from people who've, I won't speak for her. I'll speak for my cousin, and I can't really speak totally for him 100%, but there's been points where, he's moving up through the ranks. He got to the point where we talked about flat earth once.
Right.
And that's ridiculous, right?
Right.
Like he wanted one of those. But I was like, well, you already know. So it's in our bloodline, and I know it skips over people, but I'm going to be honest, though. What happens when you're around it so much, and then later in life it's opening, just like, because he's 30. So imagine, like, by the time he reaches where I went into Aya, another 8 years, right? He would have 8 more years, which that's going to be shortened to like 4.
Because it's exponential now.
Right. So then it hits that generation and boom, he opens like a flower. Because they're working the path. I know this seems.
Absolutely. Well, you know what?
Some characters would say it's ludicrous.
No, I don't think it is. I think that they have a little family. They have their own little family and ecosystem set up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they're moving away from all of those things that would have distracted them in the past. So,
but you get hung up in it's like you're traveling in a river, right? And then there's those little offshoots to the river.
Yeah. I
right,
think that
like little
to
circles
everybody.
of water.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you go into there, and it's like, oh, Alex Jones, and you're like, all right, that's enough of this guy. And then boom, you shoot out, but you didn't even know 9/11 was an inside job, or if there was hijack. You knew nothing. So when you found that out, you're like, bro, I found the world. You hear about the reptilians, and you go, all right, these dudes are smoking crack. But if you come out of that back onto the river, you start realizing as you break off into these little coves, just to go around once or twice, get what you need, and get out.
Right. But I think that's the idea. I totally think that's the idea, though. It's too. We had to get an air purifier because of all these cats, and we just got it, and we're seeing how well it works.
It's pretty strong for a little unit.
It is pretty strong.
Yes, I said unit.
It's the breeze is strong. That's why.
Yeah, it was hitting me right in my face.
Yeah, you turned it. Ficus.
Yeah, Ficus is loving it.
Okay. I think that going down that river and those little offshoots, I think people, it's very hard to say you have to take it all in. And it's very hard to say if you believe one thing, you have to believe it all. Like, what Frank and I believe. It's very hard. And especially because of all of the programming. So, for him in particular, it's like, I have to question everything. And it's like, no, you don't have to question everything. You have to open your mind enough to allow the possibility for everything and anything. And I think that's what's happening to them. They're opening up their awareness just a little bit.
Well, it starts in like the first cove. It opens and then that keeps an open channel.
They're allowing themselves to ask the questions. Whether they want the answers or not, they're allowing themselves to ask the questions. And I think that's what's important.
That's what starts it. And what happens is, and Aya showed me this in the beginning, it just starts popping off around people. And then you said it when we went to one of our clients a few weeks ago on Monday night. The girl, she said it's on everyone's lips now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, wait, how is it on everyone? I thought about this statement. That means everyone around this girl keeps bringing it up, and she's kind of hyper popular.
That's why.
So we were like, oh, wait a second.
That's why when she decided to drink and she spoke to the other person that you had worked with.
Right.
She recommended her.
Yeah, it was going back and forth.
It's in the ether. So she's created a consciousness about it in her ripple of friends. And now it's in the air. It's like what had happened to us in the beginning when we were talking about it, and we wanted to tell the world and stand on the corner and just give it away for free, and it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, when I first came out and was doing that, people were yelling like, "I'll fight you right now! Get away from me!" And I was like, "Why is everyone like so mad that I did this?" And when I tell the story, they just go, "Oh, get this guy out of here!"
Because it's a plant It's a plant medicine. It's plant based. You can
I
only say
heard,
what you could
oh,
say
you're
about
opening
it.
yourself up to demons and
Exactly. It's
monsters.
actually the opposite of that, but that's the fear talking. Like when you talk to someone who's teetering or thinking about drinking, and remember all of those canceled appointments you had years ago, last minute cancellations, because the non-human entity that was running that program said, absolutely not, this is not going to happen, I'm feeding off of this life force and I will continue
I'm
to
glad
stay
you
here.
said like that non-human entity. I was going to
Because it could
say
be
your
anything.
demon, and then, no, demon is a non-human entity.
It's everything.
It could be anything.
Yes.
We've had recent things like robots running a layer of a person.
Absolutely.
Even though they're fully a creator.
Absolutely.
You're giving into this, in this layer, this thing is in control.
Right.
So whenever you're in the 3D physical, in this momentum or whatever it is you're doing in this situation, it's doing it for you. It's the one doing it.
Right.
And you're like, I hate this. I don't like this. It was funny when we were talking. He was like, I do it because I'm good at it. And, the family business. And then, but there was, dun, 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 and you're like, oh, that's that thing dialing numbers in.
Perhaps.
At moments.
Yeah.
Right. So you feel empowered sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
The demon will make you feel empowered a little bit and then pull the rug out from you.
Of course. That's
so it
the
can
idea.
get that.
Because it wants more. It wants you to want more.
And then there's the other one where I throw the demon at you and get you worked up, and I'm just like, yo, shut up. And then you'll see me smiling while you're losing it. But my demon, you're losing your mind over me. But that's like the demon attacking you.
Right.
Pulling that energy out.
Taking that energy.
And then I eat a little bit, but you're unaware of this.
It's like those people that you meet that just instantly drain your energy.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Well, Frank, I think Frank has another call. I think Frank has been sick since September. Cold. We had the flu. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I think he's got another cold again. And oh, Roxy, you little minx, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. You better move.
Come on.
She's going to fight him for the chair. And I put out another chair for her because she did this a couple of shows ago where she was fighting me for the chair. So I put out another chair and she's pissed. So all right, so we're going to play the game.
Really quick, because I know we're jumping because we're happy. We're all together. Everything's good. I got some questions.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to put one up. Okay. So it's kind of back in the front of the question. So we're taking our time. Later tonight, we're going to be on Solera's Blue Raven show.
Yeah.
I'm going to put up the info and how to find us there around midnight, New York City time. And I think it's 9:00 her time, southwest from here.
Pacific time.
I'm not sure, but I'll put up the info in a little bit. Okay. So Gary asks, what kind of diet do you go on and for how many days for prep before drinking from the cup of wisdom, Aya? You want to answer?
No, I'd rather you answer it because it's not, the question's not the same for everybody. It depends on what your background with Aya is.
If it's your first time,
yeah,
you need to respect this flow incredibly, right? So go for it. Take all right. I don't know what anyone's on or anything.
Right. It's the medications. It's not the, you can't eat meat, you can't have chocolate, you can't have caffeine, but it's more so the medications. You have to see which medications you can really be off of.
You'll say something like, no, I'm not on any medication. And then someone will get here and go, well, I have to take my blood pressure medication. It's like, dude, that's medication that interacts with the DMT.
There's a list of medications that you can't be on. And we don't have the list now.
And I know it's hard to do. Like, this is why I don't work with drug addicts anymore. And I'm not taking anything. People have abused things to a certain degree because they can't get off of things. And I don't do ibogaine treatments. That's like 20 hours of going through the experience. I'm an ayahuasca shaman. It's a lot different.
Right.
Okay, so I would say, let's just say you're clean for the most part, right? You just like eat red meat and you have some vegetables during the week and a little bit of fruit. You need like 2 weeks for the first time.
Yeah,
they'll tell you a month, but I'm telling you straight, 2 weeks of respecting yourself, doing like a 3-day water flush, like for sure, definitely, maybe staying liquid for a little bit, like beginning to understand that, get that hunger in you, and then quench it with liquid not meats and vegetables, like no breads, no pastas, right? And you just get lighter as you go. And then maybe like 5 days before you just really get light, and you work your way into it that way. The same thing if you're on medications. I would
you
say
have to
take
wean off the
30 days
medication. Yeah.
because you don't know how these things are going to interact. If you're taking Tylenol, that's not what I'm talking about. But oh, and you have to drink so much water, so much, and you have to respect the process.
And understand what's going to happen to your body. It's a purge.
Yes, it's a
So
purge and a transformation.
You are going to release fluids. It's not you're gonna
And
you're gonna purge. You're gonna poop. You're gonna throw up. You're gonna cry. You're gonna scream. You're gonna burp. That's
you're
all
gonna
the
yawn, like,
yeah, that's all of
like
it. That's all.
weird
Yeah,
stuff.
it's just you're purging layers and layers and years of trauma. That's basically it. So the more kind you are to your body with proper diet, drinking a lot of water, not being on medication, the kinder the purge will be, basically.
Yes,
to
but
you.
you're still. Here's the wonderful thing. Everyone that does this is like, well, I went for my favorite. This is because
the
I've heard this
colonic,
3 times in
yeah.
a row. I went for a colonic the day before.
Right.
Right.
I don't have anything in
I
me.
have
Yeah.
nothing in me.
Yeah, it doesn't work
And
like
then
that.
they throw up. They purge
Or poop. Yeah. It's
harder
yeah.
than everyone.
Yeah.
You'll go,
Yeah.
whoa,
Uh-huh.
and it won't look like throw up.
No, it's actually been tested that it's completely different. It's
It's
actually the sludge that you've built up from years of trauma in your body.
Yes, and
It's a residue. So
when I drank with you at your house,
mhm.
when I was throwing up, I was purging so hard, and I was under already as the purge happened. Like I was seeing
yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
I was like, what's moving around in that? And then just really loud nano, and I looked, and it was like making the visual closer, like it was like over here, and then I was like, what is that? And it's moving. It looks like a little spider. Bump, 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 bump. I was like, oh, we have that in us. I have that in me. And they were like, everyone has it. Relax. This is right with the demon. Everyone's got one. Just chill.
Right.
It's like,
right.
I don't have no demon.
Yeah, get to know yours.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
It's like, no, everyone has an attachment. Everyone. And it's okay. It's because we were so dense. It's not necessarily anyone's fault. That's why we got to like ease up on some stuff, like not take it as seriously.
No, you got to ease up.
No, you got to ease up on this, because when you ease up on them, that's when I'm going to get a little Bronx. You can smack them up and down. Just get off me. If you chill, if you're in a relaxed state, or you're forget it. If you're laughing,
oh yeah,
you'll be rolling them off of you, bouncing them like basketballs.
Yeah.
I use weird tricks in my mind to get rid of these things. I open up portals and I toss them in, like, see you, right? Like, let's sort that. People have that joke, like, kill them all, let God sort them out, right? Well, transmute them all. Let source figure it out. That's my job, is to transmute you. If you're negative or low vibrational, or you're doing something nefarious, and I show up and I start transmuting and you get transmuted, that's fine. You're not gonna. I can't transmute you. I can't transmute Paula. Or I'm not gonna be like, right. It doesn't work that way. I could literally drag these things. We during a meditation, there was like a leviathan, which is like a giant whale fish thing that was dark, was around the planet, and everyone was arguing how to get it into one of these portals. So I just walked over and I said, it's easy. You chop it into pieces. And it was like Wolverine. And I started cutting, and the pieces were just falling, and everyone was grabbing and just walking them in one. And they were like, oh, that's easy. I go, why don't you just push instead of asking questions? And we just pulled it in. And it's like, wow. And then you hear in on like YouTube videos of people that are discussing things. Well, the other night was a big transmutation night. And I'm like, well, I was in that. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
You guys are talking about it now.
When Mercury goes retrograde, everyone feels it. You know, people that don't know what they're feeling feel it.
Yeah, we're all the light workers are in there light working. We're transmuting dark.
Yeah, full moons.
Yeah, the animals.
You know, new moons.
So I started.
I mean, it's energy being transferred one way or another. It's just you have to try to make it an even transfer. But yeah, it's rough.
All right, so let's just close out that statement. If you do it, if you just respect the plant and go into the process that way, she will tell you, Aya, being that person, that being, will explain to you while you're under, or your higher self will say, next time you don't have to take a month to do this because you're not going to be on the drugs anymore. And if you go back to it, then you're going to have to wean off and go through the process again.
Right.
And then the experiences get more intense sometimes because it's like, well, we're not going to come back here and use this as a crutch. So we're going to give you the full, if you use her as a crutch, she kind of twists it sometimes into you. It makes people almost not want to go back. And it's like, well, you're not supposed to be doing it that way. You're supposed to be putting into work what you're learning.
Right.
So you kind of get a few
drinking a second time.
Yeah, drinking and I also recommend drinking 3 times in a row, minimum.
If you
go
can,
for it.
If you can handle
go
it.
for it. Don't, Shaman, Frank, 3 days in a row. You're going to be epic. Go ahead, Paula. I'm sorry.
If you're
Come on.
That's rough. It's rough.
This isn't easy.
You have to be that takes a lot of courage.
Oof.
It's a lot because it's physical demands.
I did
on
12
your body.
days with 2 days off in between, and it was actually, it took 14 days to do. I just went for it by myself in the living room right here. So you'll be fine. Go do it with your shaman and responsibly but that's what I did by myself not long ago.
I was a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Well, it's good for you if you can't, whatever your issue is, the 1-2, because it's like the first day, sometimes nothing happens. You've seen that where it's working fine.
You don't feel the effects of it.
And then you're sitting there like, I don't know. And then
Nothing's
you get very
happening.
introspective.
Yeah.
And then the next day you'll drink and it shows like, okay, you're back. Hi, how are you? And it starts to open again. And we've had second days where people were like, I feel something, but not. And then that third day is like, boom, the light comes out. They have the full experience. They're like, oh, what's going on?
That's rough, though. I don't know if I could do that 3 days in a row.
Yeah, but you've already been through so much. So if you were if you were at the beginning of this, it would be a different story. You might say, yeah, maybe. Let me do it once and see what happens.
That first time lasted so long, though. It felt like that felt like a 2-day experience.
Yeah, but remember the time that we had that was really good and it lasted all weekend?
Yeah, but that's what
right. That's what I'm saying. So that's one experience, and then you just add more to it the next day.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
And we were drinking.
I don't know if I
cups
can handle it. I know.
In the beginning,
yeah,
it was
red Solo cups, 20-ounce cups.
I was like, you didn't come to the party and expected not to party, right? Because the party's over here. It was over here inside you. That's where the party's taking place, and you got to get in there and you got to handle your business.
No, that's bad.
What?
That's bad. I was at a barbecue one summer. This had to be 25 years ago, 23 years ago, and I drank. I thought I was going to die the next day. I was drinking from 2 o'clock in the afternoon until 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was drinking Goldschlager at the end, and I hate that stuff. It's like cough medicine, and I don't like anything that tastes like that, because for me, I'm very funny when it comes to taste. And I went home, and the next day I was all alone, and I said, if I die, no one's going to know I'm dead. No one's going to know. I'm going to die from alcohol poisoning. No one's going to know I'm dead. That's kind of like how I felt like after the first time I drank. I was like, I don't know if I can get it down. Oh, thank you. I don't know if I can get it down again. It's hard to get down.
All right, so
now it's in a little cup. It's still hard to get. But for me, other people have no problem. For me, it's got to be a thing tied to taste with me. It's like maybe that's what my demon.
So Aya explained, if this was easy, you'd all be just doing it.
I understand.
Can't get by that, right? Like we had people go. Yeah. And I'm like, it's not going to work. Oh, can I get lime and lemon? Or
hey, orange slices, they helped me. Don't make fun of that. It helped a lot.
Does anyone have any orange slices? Right. So, all right. So we do all this stuff to get the nerve to make that leap of faith. And then it's like, all right, you did it. Now let's work.
Right.
Let's do the work. And then
if you can handle.
You're like, at the end, you're like, oh, that wasn't too bad. It was crazy. Well, it wasn't too bad. It's like, okay, get some sleep. And when you wake up, have some water. We're going to do it again.
I don't know if I could do it. I really don't know. I'm a baby that, look, I'm not scared of a lot of things. We know this. Okay, you listen to the show, you watch the show, you know this. I just can't take it. I think, yeah, and Gina's saying it's draining.
But she did it.
She did do it, but
So
for
she
me,
did. No,
it's
so it's draining.
it
Sorry.
is draining. It takes me it takes me days to recover.
But you're special.
No.
No, I'm saying like each individual person has their own.
No, anything like a hangover, days to recover. Like having a good time, days to recover. Like
I
it
get
just
up and I start talking.
I can't. I'm a puss that way. I can't. Just with that, I could eliminate a demon in the living room just with a block of salt. Okay, but that I don't know.
But it's a little different for you being
What?
fearless family matriarch. You've already been through that part of the ringer. You've had your smoke outs and your ceremonies.
Yeah,
and
no,
you've
you're
been
right.
around
You're right.
up
And we were
100
drinking 20 ounce cups in the beginning. I got these beautiful cups.
Listen, you're drinking in the beginning. We were drinking the
big
red
solo cups.
and people were like, "Are you guys serious?" I'm like, "Listen, this is how I learned."
And
I didn't know the reduction, duh.
Exactly.
So you know your recipe, right?
Yeah.
I learned it on the other side, but
over
they
here,
didn't
mommy.
teach you how to reduce. They're like expecting you to just pick up on that. You know, like you see it says reduce, so it's like, well, soup's done. And
Right,
it's like,
but
it's
if
not
you remember,
soup.
one time I
That's the thing.
I threw up
Reduce.
before the 15 minutes, and I had to drink it again.
Yeah,
it
we
was
would
a horror. It was a horror.
50 grams a
It was
piece,
a horror.
acacia.
But
Science.
I think it's the best thing that I
Science.
ever did in my life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it changed every time. It changed my life from the point I started, from the moment I decided to drink. The drink didn't even touch my lips. From the moment I decided to drink, Aya guided me the entire way. And even with the diet, she's like, you'll hear a little voice in your head going, no, don't eat that, or stop eating now, put the fork down, or go drink some water. She will guide you. And it was the biggest life-changing experience of my life. And it's what I wanted. I was looking for it, and I didn't know that's what I was looking for because I had done so many other things. But I'm still a big puss when it comes to.
So I was in her room at her house, and she was like, "I'm gonna go into the bathroom," because you get that little Aya gives you that little heads up, like, go in the bathroom, like this.
Oh yeah, I didn't want to use
thing
the bucket.
opens in your mind. Yeah, she just refuses to work with me sometimes.
No.
Like,
and only in the beginning.
Right.
Only in the beginning.
She goes in. I'm like, all right, this is cool. So we had like the TV on, and then I'm standing next to the mirror because I'm new at this, so I'm like, I'm gonna have to go run in there going.
Lionel Richie kept
Lionel
playing,
Richie.
and it was the best.
It was all we were laughing. We were like, this is great.
80s love songs or something like. It was like. All I remember was Lionel Richie, and I was like, "Oh, Lionel Richie!"
Yeah, we were on the bed laughing.
You're so soothing.
But
Your
then
voice is so soothing.
it like hit us, like, okay, you got to go and do your thing.
Yeah.
So you went into the bathroom, and I was just like, I look over it, and I see the mirrors right next to me. So I'm like, right. So I start doing that, and then I have that crazy experience where your skin melts off, like. There was blood and gore.
Yeah,
it was just melted.
I didn't see
but
any of
under that was the light being.
Right.
So it wasn't frightening. It was just like, once I saw the light being, because as it's melting off, the head underneath, like the skull, is glowing, and it's not a skull face. It's like the best version of you you've ever seen.
Like that. People have seen that happen to you.
So and I'm going, like, it started with a horror thing, and then it was like a candle melting instead of like gore and horror. And then my mind just changed. I was like, and then it waved. I waved. I was like, oh, and then it was like, go check on her. So this is actually the part of the story I wanted to, you'll look on your face. I knock on the door. I come swinging in. I'm like, you all right? And she's on the floor. She's like doing this. So she must have, spilled something on the floor. She was just looking up, and Aya had told me from the room, she was on the angle in the corner as like a tree.
Yep.
And she was looking at me through the tree.
Yep.
She's a gorgeous woman. And then I look at Paula, and she's like this, looking up into the corner of the room where Aya's tree was. So I'm like, oh, from where I wouldn't see it coming into the room from where I was. So I just looked at her looking at it, and I go, "Oh, she's in here with you too." And she goes, "Uh-huh." And I'm like, "All right, you got 1 minute, and then I'm gonna come back in and we're gonna clean this up." And you were there. Whatever was going on with
she
you
told me you
there.
could get you're done. You could get up off the floor now. And I went, oh, okay.
Yeah. She does that. When I first drank at Chris's house, she goes, "You got 60 seconds to get into that bathroom. Like you're gonna need to use the toilet, right?" So I'm like, "Oh, I think I gotta go use the bathroom." Blah blah blah. She's like, 50 seconds,
Right.
and I was
right.
like, "Who's talking?"
Yeah.
And then Chris is going,
Just listen.
"Is someone talking to you?" And I go, "Yeah, some lady's just talking to me." He goes, "That's her. Why are you not?" And she's like, 30 seconds. And he goes, "What is she saying?" I'm like, "That I have to go to the bathroom." And then I heard the gur 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 gur,
Yeah.
and I went, "Oh no!"
Mm-hmm.
And I ran in there, and I was, what do they call that when you the Mexican flu when you're like throwing up and going number two at the same time?
Oh, yeah, that's
You're
just
just
awful.
sitting there with the bucket
Yeah.
going,
Yeah, that's
help
awful.
me.
That's happened to me a few times.
And then 3 minutes of that, 3 solid minutes of black goo coming out of me from two sides. It was really a rough moment. It just stopped and went away. And then everything, because it started happening in front of me, and I was watching the walls go and everything. I'm like,
you
"Yo,
could
how am
see
I gonna
everything-
flush the toilet?
Yeah,
Like,
you
come
could
on,
see everything
stop it!"
breathe. Yeah.
And yes, everything was
Yeah.
breathing. Cherie was on the other side of the wall asking me, "You all right in there?" I'm like, "I'm okay." Like I was doing that, and then boom, it just stopped. It cleaned up. I was able to clean up. I brushed my teeth even. I felt great.
Yeah. She gives you
And
she gives you a time.
opened the door. I was like, "Yeah," and the walls were moving. And then she's like, "All right, go lay down now." And I was trying to grab the stuff. It was so realistic. I was trying to grab it
touch everything.
but it was morphing in front of me. So I was like, what is that? That's why I know it's holographic. I'm like watching it do things. So on a certain scale, to present that to me, there has to be some kind of sacred geometric pattern of things that move and shift into whatever the next thing is.
I think you're overthinking it.
I just think I'm getting hyper detailed with it
No,
because it's going to go back to the simulation theory we were talking about.
Oh, you're bringing it back. Okay.
Well, we have to.
Okay.
So anyway, so it just looked like that. So all right, so let's bring it back then. So he swears we're in a simulation, and I'm like, well, we run simulations, right? And he's like, no, this is a simulation, and we're kind of just running out things. It's just like, and I'm like, no, if you're not in control of you, something else is. Thus, you'd be. It's like a simulated life because you're not in control of your creator life. And then he's like, no, we're in a simulation. I go, no, we're in a hologram. And within the hologram, there's simulations. So she's going, well, what is the hologram? And I'm like, how do I describe this to her without blowing her mind? Because people won't understand it, even though they're asking the question. And I'm like, it's shaker geometry shifting and moving to create a form that we all agree on, that we're all looking at in our bodysuits and whatever layer we're in, whatever awareness we have, and we're staring at it and we're like, okay, this is what it is. This is a tree. This is Paula. This is Frankie. This is a cup. We just made coffee. Do we agree on that? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So it's a hallucination we're all agreeing on, but it's also known to morph and shift into other things because there's other dimensions, because it's now everywhere and it's not happening over there. It's happening right here in front of us on just different layers. Right?
Right. And that's a lot.
And he's like, nah, simulation.
Because he can't go beyond. So he's understanding it within his scope. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So you could break it down. I mean, you could break it down and you can provide a list, a checklist. And if it's not within his scope of understanding, he's not going to get it, because to accept that everything is real, everything that was ever done, every thought that was ever thought has already come to fruition in some shape or form, because it's always now. All of those timelines have already been played out because it's always now, or they're concurrently playing out.
Or it plays out up here and then filters to us down here in the denser time.
So allowing yourself to have that understanding, that's a big step. So for someone who was very close-minded and didn't want anything to alter his perception, which is why we were even curious why he wanted to know about the plant medicine in the beginning.
Right. Well, because he
I yeah, I
he did some nefarious stuff when during a DMT ceremony in the past,
no,
and
absolutely, and
everyone was like, "Oh,
absolutely, and but I think it's what you can grasp.
yes, this is right." Because you must have been the voice in my head from across the room, because he said to me, "Nah, simulation. How do you know? It's like The Sims." He's telling me this, and I'm like, "When you're in control of it yourself, we run simulations within stuff, and you could be running simulations while in a simulation, but the space you're in is holographic until you build a simulation and step into that, right? And then it opens into a holographic reality within that.
And that's your perspective.
Well, it's the flower of life. You're just stepping into the center, and then it blooms around you, whatever it is it's prescribed to do to you. So that's like a matrix."
Right, according to your belief.
Oh yes. So
Right.
here's my thing. I'm not arguing yet. It's about to be the argument, and then I hear, well, he's not wrong from his perception.
He's not.
So I said, no, Dan, you're right, because you're right. It is a simulation. Because I was trying to explain, like when you play football, you run practice drills all week. We're running simulations and then doing stuff with it. So we're processing information by finding out the good and bad, the faults. We're trying to remove different things, detail it, and then move on. And then he's like, "Yeah, simulate." So I said, you know what? You're right. You're 100% right, actually. From your level of perception, you're 100% correct. It is a simulation until it's not a simulation anymore, and it becomes a pineapple.
Right.
Right. And it just doesn't matter at that point.
He needed you to give him that credit.
Oh, I gave it to him too, and I wasn't sarcastic.
But he needed you to give that to him because it was validating his view on this, because he himself is struggling with the idea that it's all real, and once he drinks, he's going to realize it. So you giving him that validation, letting him argue a point and then be correct about it, gives him a little bit of validation, and it gives him a firmer
it's almost like you've been studying, and yes, you have been passing the test.
Yes, you're correct.
You made it to here. Excellent job.
Yes, because you don't want to completely rock the foundation he's standing on.
Right, instead of grabbing and going, "You a dummy." Like that's what cousins do. We brothers, we fight and argue and twist. And I'm like, I'm not doing that no more.
Exactly. And if you want him to trust you, then you have to give him something.
Give a man a chance to be great, be great at what he's trying to accomplish.
Exactly, because only he probably doesn't even, he has an idea of why he thinks he wants to drink, but
it changed the air in the room too. It just went, I went back to relaxing, and I was like, that was very comfortable. I'm going to do that again.
Because he could relax. Because now you made it possible for him to relax.
I think it made me closer to him in a weird way.
Yeah, because you validated one of his ideas, and that's important to people. They need to feel that they're correct in their thoughts.
So, Cal, so from here we spiral out, like Ra says, right? Shout outs to Eye of Ra. It spirals up and out. Well, when you're up there, your higher self and all the other beings doing their thing, right? It has to come down and spiral down in time. So when it happens up there, it's instantaneous. And as we bring all this stuff closer, all the now moments going to just flash at one time, and you'll be able to access that and work within that. So yes, it's always now. Everything has happened and will always happen now. So it's just like this amazing thing. This is what we're moving into, the understanding of the now moment, like with more clarity. The now moment is almost timeless. Well, I guess it would be timeless, right?
But that's what they're saying. Like if you're waiting to live your best life, you're not living now. And if you're not living now, you can't be in the situation, you can't be in a place to receive everything that you're asking for, because you're not living now. Like if you don't love what you have now,
if you're always chasing that future moment,
you're chasing it.
Your mind is there.
If you're not loving what you have now, you can't possibly love what's to come, because you're not giving now a chance. And people want to argue this with me all the time. Oh, it's not that, it's not that easy. This is the real world. It's the truth.
Nothing's worth it that is easy. Our machine is never did what it's built to
No,
do.
you have to live your life now. That's
So
what
you
they
just
mean
go
by
with it.
just being a kind person. Like, live your best now, and then if you stumble and fall, you pick up from where you are. We don't go back.
So a person that doesn't know about any of this stuff and is just living a good, healthy life, and they're like, yeah, whatever, blah, 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 and they're just living a good, it's going to happen to them as quickly or as much as it's going to happen to me, as it's going to happen to you, because they're putting in the work. They don't even realize they're just living a good life, and that anchors in that good energy. To that, there's just no distractions. We know a lady, you were saying before, Betty, how she puts on the little fanny pack and just kind of
She
bounces
just
around.
navigates through her life.
A little bit of this, a little bit
She's
of
an
that.
animal rescuer, and you
could see it
we
in her
see
face.
she
She's
lives her
alive.
best life.
Like, she's
She's a
alive.
grandma. She watches her granddaughter during the week, and she rescues cats, and she makes these appointments, and she just there are no obstacles for this lady. This lady lives her best life, because she's living in the now. If we stumble and fall, we just pick ourselves up from right where we left off. You don't go back and try to fix everything, because that's already happened. It's already in the past. You can't go back 5 years. If I went 5 years back and where I think I made that mistake, my life would be different. No, it doesn't work like that. You live your best life, and you stumble and you fall, and you pick yourself up right where you are, and then you start again. And then you're going to stumble and fall, or you're going to be lazy and you're going to want to take time out, and then you start up again. That's just how it is. That's the easiest way to explain it. It's just how it is. We can't go back and fix everything. Okay? Because if that was the case, I would go back from when I was 10 and try to fix everything. It doesn't work
I wouldn't
like
do that. Even if I could do that, I wouldn't do it.
Oh, I wouldn't do it now.
It would
but
change the outcome of me at this moment, which is the optimal timeline, dude. Even though I go through it, it's almost like I have to fall, hit the floor, get up, and then it won't work on me again, and then I move into the next level.
Right, because you learned from that and you moved on. Like, people that constantly make the same mistake in their lives. Like, and I'm not picking, because I did it for years. You're dating someone, you're dating the same type of person, different face. You're picking a career, you fall into these jobs, or you take these jobs, and you're never happy with them. Okay? But you do it repeatedly because that's what you're comfortable with. Okay? So it's, we fear what we don't know. It's the devil not the devil you don't know. That's exactly it. So we fall into these patterns where yeah, because you're repeating the same patterns, expecting a different outcome, and it doesn't work that way.
You can say it's a different person. Why didn't it work? It's like, well, you pick the personality, not
Mm-hmm.
They can't hear me. I'm just yelling in the background. So you're pretty good at this, by the way. Did you want some coffee? Because you could go get some.
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I run?
Yeah. I was going to do it, but then it was taking me away.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm going to run.
It's just me and you now, guys. We've advanced to a point where it's enjoyable to sit with ourselves again, really enjoy it. When all right, so when you were a kid and your best friend was going to come over, or you were going to go over and you were going to just play video games, hang out, do your thing. It's just the greatest thing just to be there. All right, you just could sit there and just laugh at each other. You can make all kinds of noises and laugh and then just sit quietly and feel like this enthusiastic whatever, right? What do you want to do? I don't know. You just giggling and laughing. Come on, let's go do this. Okay. Right? It's going back to that. It's going to get through the hard work, it all pays off. And once I started doing the work and witnessing how it worked on me, I was never going back the other direction or any other direction except up. You learn self-worth and self-love on a level you never understand. Me and my buddy, he used to help us and do like roadie stuff for us with Heist Click. He he and I reconnected at my grandmother's wake. So we were chatting, and he rescues kittens, cats, right? And we do stuff, and we're certified. And he wasn't. He didn't know you could be certified like that. He was like, you could do that, and we were on Instagram today. I rarely use it, and he's just hitting me up on there. Yo man, and I just wrote back, who would have thought? Right now at 45, the two of us would be discussing this on Instagram, on Messenger, right? How the times have changed and how we have changed and evolved into these other beings. He's like, I know, man, we got to do this. He's like, you got to send me cat pictures, cats rule. And we really just get into it because whenever we used to do the wrestling events, me and him were like the two guys that people didn't know if we were part of the wrestlers or not. They were like, "Oh, you guys are in the group." I'm like, "Well, no, he's the roadie. I'm in the group." They're like, "We thought you were the wrestler," and I'm like, "No, I'm way too small to be the wrestler." They're like, "Yeah, but the way you talk." So we used to have all this weirdo fun, and now we're just cat parents. You know, he's talking about wanting to build a rescue, or at least a place where the animals can heal, and then you can come pick them up. So you could like let the animals heal with us, and then from there you just bring them home. You know, you come and pick them up from us because sometimes you don't want them in cages, right? Like you want a nice rescue. And if there was random spots inside this web we're building in each community for all of these different things, you would get the care at the doctor, right? I don't know how to sew up a cat. I don't know how to sew up a person. I don't know how to open a person and pull something out, right? So you go to the doctor, you do your thing, and then you come here to rehab or heal, right? But you can't. I'm not going to take in 50 cats, right? But I can take in, I don't know,
Oh,
eight,
they foster.
five,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
And then
foster.
from us, they foster out.
Right, and to
So
adopt. Yeah.
yeah, so if you had a couple
Oh, sorry,
people in
Richie.
each community doing something like that for the different animals, as well as maybe some of the people, et cetera, et cetera. I choose to work this way. Paula makes the joke, I wasn't going to have kids, so I got cats. And the universe is like, we're going to send cats. Lots and lots of cats.
Yeah. Lots and lots of cats. It's okay.
No, but it's all good. But like I explained to my mother, like my brother has the kids. Right? I don't have money for that. I'm an Aya shaman. You don't want kids around me doing that stuff. It's not for kids. But at the same time, I would teach them not to do ayahuasca, but the lessons early.
Mm-hmm.
I would talk to them openly about you being the magician and the creator. It's you. See, they don't want me doing that. None of these people want me around them doing that around their children. So, would it be helpful to have children here? No. Well, I get attacked by demons and entities and stuff at times, so they sent cats because cats aren't
Yeah.
who
Listen.
they're not who they are.
No.
Every time I go under these each cat is a different thing on the other side, a different non-human entity there. And I witnessed some crazy stuff. I'm like, little bear looks like a black panther that stands on two legs, jacked out on steroids, like totally monstrous, with like this panther werewolf face.
Yep.
And he has the bad eye and it drips. It's really, he's rough. He growls, right? But not to me or her. He's with us. Just like we had Sherman, the Boobala, right? People, when we'd work, when Sherman was here, the orange cat, I went on the other side and he was that dragon with no wings. He was golden and
Yep.
he had the four legs, and I would call him the Boobala, and anything that came near me when I was under would get attacked by him. It was terrible. To witness it was hard because it was relentless. It's like this thing considers everything prey that is not in frequency and vibration. Period. Right? But I was told multiple times, "Yo, you got to control that thing," and I'm like, "Well, you're not of here. You're out," and it just attacked these guys
because they come to protect you.
Yeah.
Right.
And it turns out that it was a setup. It was like a little thing where they were trying to get me to do stuff inside their little bubble. And Sherman walked in as the cat. And this is long before Captain Marvel was had transforming cats, by the way. I'm well aware of that nonsense. It's just like the Doctor Strange things. We were talking about it years before, and then it came out. And my brother was like, "Did you sure you didn't watch Doctor Strange and this stuff happened to you?" I'm like,
movie just came
"Why don't you just check my episode 1? Why don't you check that me coming right out of Aya 4 years ago talking about this stuff?" Yo, you know what's really cool?
What?
I got I've been talking to Nick Zervos. Shout out to Nick Zervos. He hits me up and goes, hold on, I gotta blow my nose.
Okay, go ahead.
My apologies.
Everyone could see him.
Right. My apologies. All right, so shout outs to Nick. He says to me, yo, man, I don't know if this body's gonna go or if something's coming, but everything's about to change because something's coming. So what he was describing to me was the solar event, but not as the solar event. It's just something's coming and it's going to happen, and it's going to either kill me and then I'm here at this other place, or I just go to the other place.
He's going to the other place.
Right. So I'm like, nah, we're not going to die.
Yeah.
I keep telling
people.
people.
Go to the other place. That's what I keep saying.
Shout outs to Michael Britt. He went under, and Aya told him, yo, y'all that agree to this, that want to be here for this, aren't going to die for it. You're going to live through it.
And Michael Britt came the closest to the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
So
he gets the hard visuals, though.
No, but that's great. But his
like
his explanation is close to my explanation, and I don't get any visuals. So I like his explanation because I could relate to that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I could relate to that personally. Because Frank and I, we're on this journey together, but we have different views on how things go down, which is normal with two different people. And, you know, he's seen things and he said, you know, this is what I've seen. This is what they've shown me. And I'm like, I don't think it's that way, but that's, you know, based on what I've been shown or what I've been told or what I think or feel happens. And, you know, Michael Britt came very close to how I feel.
Yeah, he's like an excellent crossover between us. You know, I love as people break through. They have like the missing connection between things like that that you'll have with everything else. It's like, I just can't make the connection because I'm telling you it's like this, and you're like, no, listen, from my perspective, it's like this, and then out comes right up the middle, and you go, oh.
Right.
Why couldn't I explain it like that?
But that's why I don't.
Because that's actually more correct.
But that's why I say
the big
very little about it, because it's everyone's unique interpretation of what they're seeing and what they're feeling and what they're purging. Do you understand? They're shown what they can. Like we had a client, she negotiated with Aya to have very mild experiences. And so far, she's only had mild experiences. And I've done that too. And then Aya was like, okay, it's not going to happen, but okay. So I do think that people, if you open yourself up to the experience and you submit completely to the experience, you will get the most out of it. If you go in and think you can put restrictions on the experience, that's when you're going to have a problem, because it's like you have to submit.
Yeah, you can't have expectations
and
further than what you had the ability to even
and you
do
can't
yet.
put restrictions on it, because it's something that the whole premise behind it is not to put restrictions on it. So, you know, each experience is going to be unique and different.
Yeah, like you got to heal a little bit before, let's say, an alien walks in the room with you, because say your blood pressure goes up too high. Let's just use that example, your blood pressure. When I saw Ra, the entities that came as an armored bird coming through a portal in my grandmother's basement at like 2:00 in the morning. And I was having a heart attack. I couldn't see. I was like, you're in the room. You're coming into the room with me.
That's an overwhelming experience.
I'm not going to come in. You're going to, you'll die. You'll pop. Poof. And I'm like, yeah, but it's me. And they're like, no, that has nothing to do with it. You haven't broken that layer yet. Like your water bag, your blood bag, your flesh suit will pop, because of rising levels of my energy is that full astonishment can kill you with a heart attack because it's that great. But once you, the next afternoon, I went outside. That's when I got frustrated. Went outside naked that next day. He just walked out of the sun and was standing in front of me and said, "See the difference?" And I was like, "Yeah, that it doesn't bother me." He's like, "You're sitting
Right.
in the sun.
Right.
Your frequency's up here.
Right.
You just
You're in
you
a
purged last night."
you're in a position to receive, which is what we talk about. Receive data, receive information, receive enlightenment, receive guidance. You were in a position to receive. Because if you were in a position of resistance, he couldn't have come and shown himself to you
Right.
because you would have resisted it.
But there's also levels. Like if you're in a video game and you're on level 1, you're not going to go to the level 9 boss and think you're going to get more than 4 seconds on the board with this thing. It's going to beat you and you're just going to die. You got to kind of build your armor. You got to release the black goo. You got to like purge yourself.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you got to get used to what that actually looks like because that's frightening.
Mhm.
You know, I had to get used to being over the deer before getting to the alien, which was the craziest thought in my head. Because to me, it's the same thing, right? It's like the deer is standing eye to eye. If it says, "Hey, Frank," I'd be like, "Oh, hello, alien deer." Or it's the same thing to me at that one moment.
Right.
Whether it was an alien or a deer, I was frightened to death. And then they're like, "Let's work with the deer since it's from the planet," you know. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I broke through that layer, then broke through the next, the shark layer, the ridiculousness, my own fears, and then now I could stand in the room with them. It went from them looking in, remember that dollhouse effect, to them being eye to eye with us, saying, "Well, it's not about us being bigger than you. It's you're in there, in that space, spiraled down in the density, so it appears as we're looking in the like a fishbowl at you, but that's not the case. As you rise in frequency, we just match size.
Right.
We only look that way because you have the ability to look up and see us looking in at you. But size does not matter at that difference because you come up here and we're just the same exact." And I was like, I did not know that.
Because it's perception.
Yeah,
It's all perception.
That's freaky when you visually see it, right? Like imagine seeing something like that and you're not ready to see anything like that. Like in your heart and mind, you're like, I don't think that's a good idea, but that's what you want. Like some people say, I want to see what you see. And I'm like, hold on. Why don't you just see what you see? Go for what your body will allow.
Because
and don't worry about me. I'm here
what
to
you
help you.
see is inconsequential to what someone else sees. So that's why when people say, I want to see what you see, it's like, are you here for entertainment value? Or do you want to get fixed? Do you want to get better? Do you want to clear those neural pathways? Do you want to regrow new ones? Do you want to get over trauma that's been holding you back in this life? This life is very short. There's not a lot of time. Okay. There's a lot of rules. There's a lot of situations that we need to navigate through. You know, do you really want to spend time thinking about things that are inconsequential to you? You know, no one's going to see what Frank sees because Frank was given a gift, and that's his gift is what he's allowed to see. You know,
Well, I said it on the first episode. They were trying to break it down for me. I'm like, how can I see you up there? Like I can see them looking in from the layers just by looking, and they're like, well, that's what you do. Like everyone can do. Because I was looking at other people going, how do you do that? How do you do that? Like they're like, well, how do you see the way you do and get your ass handed to you constantly? Right? Like you see me, I'm flopping around on the floor like a fish, coughing and throwing up. You know, it's like, well, I'm really great at seeing,
right,
but I don't have a shield yet. And it's like, what do you mean you don't have a shield? You have to protect yourself before. And I'm like, well, okay. So we're all built differently. Like I had to build all those things from square one because I don't ever, that none of that existed to me. I used to laugh at chakras and auras and all that stuff. I'd go nonsense, hippie talk. I don't even know where that came from. I guess just not knowing or understanding, right?
right. But that's it. You open your mind a little bit, and you allow one thought to come in, and then you allow other thoughts to come in, and then you say, well, if I'm going to go down this path, I better believe it all or believe nothing, because you don't get a choice to be selective. So you either accept it all and make it easy from the beginning, from go, or you can argue each point and, slow your progression, because now you want to argue if that entity is real over that entity, and it's all the same. That's an angel, that's a non-human entity, that's an alien. We can call it 100 different things, but if they're not human, they're non-human entities.
Yeah,
And
it
they're
just
and
makes
they're
it
and
easy.
they're alien, because they're alien to us. So stop trying to make things fit in boxes. You have to accept it all, and it'll go much easier for you. It really will. The whole experience will go much easier for you, because then you're going to submit to it, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to put myself in a place of receiving, and I'm going to open my mind. Now hit me, and then allow the experience to happen. And Aya knows what needs to be fixed. You can think you want to work on something, but she'll fix what you allow her to fix, depending on your openness, depending on your acceptance.
So I remember my other cousin that resisted when she drank. I was like, you have to drink this much, and she drank like half of it, and then it was like, I'm not drinking anymore. And then like an hour into it, it was hitting her a little bit or a lot, and she was in the chair, and we had discussed for 2 hours what submission is and how to relax and breathe. And she's like, I'm ready, I'm ready. And she gripped the chair like nightmare level stuff. It was bad. My grandfather was like, what are you doing to your cousin down there? I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just standing here. You can see me at the bottom of the steps. She's going through this, and she's got to go through it. But she almost tore the arms off the chair by digging in, and she was going,
Because she was
and I'm like,
fighting
yo,
it.
what are you
She
doing?
was
She was just
fighting
throwing
it.
up on herself. And she was like, ah. And I'm like, yo, relax. She was like, F you and F. Ah. I was like, whoa. Like she was screaming at the top of her lungs. And I'm like, damn. And then she had said to me recently, hey, I'm ready to do that. I'm like, don't ever come near me again. You can go find a shaman or become your own.
It's a life-changing event, and if you're not ready to experience a life-changing event, then it's not for you. And now everyone has their understanding or their idea of what a life-changing event is. But for me, it's very simple. If I go through this process and I come out different on the other side, that was a life-changing event. Other people, sometimes their expectations are a little too high, or they didn't fully understand when we said you have to accept everything, what everything meant, or they weren't ready to look at those, to revisit those issues, those traumas from a different perspective.
Yeah, one of the girls was like, that's not what I thought was going to happen. I go, what happened? She was like, therapy.
Yeah.
Lots and
Yeah.
lots of therapy.
Yeah, lots and lots of therapy, years of therapy
in like an hour.
in an afternoon,
Yeah.
in an evening, in one 24-hour period of time.
And then what happens is like a day or two later, and I'll be honest, this is part of the favorite part for me. As you and I know
that's
your
my favorite part too. Yeah.
As you go, it just keeps unlocking.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be in the shower like a week later, like,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll feel the frequency, and you'll bring it in, and you'll be like, wow. I had a deja vu yesterday. I think it was yesterday, and I've been telling you they've been lasting longer.
Mm-hmm.
I ran to the door. I had to run outside to talk to someone, and my blue coat was hanging up, and then there's the red shaman thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I could have wore either one. And naturally, I always go for the blue hoodie,
Mm-hmm.
and I grabbed it and put it on, and then it was like stepping back a step while the avatar was playing it out, and I'm like, oh wait, I just saw this, just like when me and you were talking. It lasted 4 sentences. I was like, I choose the blue coat because the red isn't violent. I don't want people staring at me out in the street because the red brings attention to you.
Right.
So I put the blue hoodie on and I blend into the background in the concrete, and I go, why did I even think that? Deja vu. And I opened the door, and then when I opened the second door, the guy that was there was the guy that was supposed to be there, and I was like, hey. and I just walked out into that moment, and I was like dizzy for a second, but I learned to breathe in those moments and not get overexcited. Let it happen. The only way you're gonna finish the thoughts and connect the deja vu to the dream you had, because if it's a dream and you're awake through it, isn't that a vision? Like, like, aren't you meant to have some kind of profound understanding if you're allowed to remember it and bring it out into the world? And then you're having the deja vu. It's like, if you are aware of that and you start taking responsibility and you're working towards that and you're learning, because I used to get excited and go, oh, deja vu. Now I don't do that no more. It just happens. And I'm like, whoa, deja vu, man, as it builds. And I'm like, no, I'm still in it. Like, I've learned to breathe in it and just, I'm relaxed instead of going, oh, it's happening. I don't do that anymore. Like, I just smoke DMT, beings would walk in. It's you. I don't do that anymore. I'm just like, oh, look, space gorillas. Like I'm going to go talk to them. Like, okay, you too. So when you relax into that, the deja vu opens into the vision that you had, and it lasts minutes, moments, however long the moment needs to be. And
Yeah,
then
instead of seconds, it lasts moments because
and then it's not fleeting.
right, because you're allowing it to happen and you're putting no judgment or restriction on it. So you're actually getting the clue.
Oh, I never heard it like that.
Right? So you're allowing it to happen and you're witnessing it. So you're getting the most out of it. And then you're going to apply it.
So you're not being resistant to the process.
No, that's what all of this is. It's resistance. Even to the drink, like when people decide to drink and then like right up to the day they're like, I don't know if I should do it. I don't know if I should do it. It's not you that are resisting. It's not you resisting the drink. It's the entities that are feeding off of you that are resisting the drink.
Yeah, because you're pulled to it. It's
right.
That other good guy pulling you and Aya towards it.
So they don't want that because you're their source of energy and you're their source of food and you're their source of
you're
information.
Like, I'll drink it. No, I won't drink it. I'll drink it. No, don't drink it. Right? We make every excuse. No, if I drink it, I'll have to pee 6 times. It's like, no, you're going to throw up, but it's going to be worth it. Right? And that's the work. Putting your hand to the mouth, tilting your head back and saying, thank you for this moment, to have this experience here. I'm thankful and grateful. And then, right, facing that fear and just tilting your head back. It's like, what is the fight all the way up to that moment? What is that battle? That's the war that everyone talks about, like the angels and the demons. That's all inside you. Externally, it'll appear. Once you defeat everything inside you, you're starting to create your reality. We rise in vibration. You realize there's life everywhere, just around us the whole time. Infinite amounts of creation, right? Just, it's mind blowing to think anything else. Is it mind boggling or mind bottling?
Both.
No. In Anchorman. That was so funny. Yeah, so that's most intense, right? So let me bring this up tonight, and it's rare to have Paula up to the wee hours of the morning. I gotta share the screen. Hold on. Let's see. Dun. Share this one. Yeah, here we go. All right. Nope. Revolution Radio tonight, midnight New York time. Raven Stars Witching Hour with Solaris Blue Raven, right? We're gonna be doing some time over on her channel for a bit. We'll be in Studio A. Revolution Radio. I'll put the links are on my page. And if you're not friends with me on social media, you beat. But you could see Studio A is over on the side. Wooka, come join us. Come enjoy the ride. It's always great to meet family out there, other fearless beings out there, and Solaris and I, from way back on Truth Frequency with the pyramids and all that, we made our connection, and it was really wonderful. And then as we were actually doing the work, I ate mushrooms and went while we were live one night in the meditation, in that long 12-hour meditation. And I saw her show up, the other her, right? Like the big version. And I was standing there, and we were all there around the pyramid looking at what was going on. And then this light came in, and she had wings and stuff, and she like flew over, and it was like, she was like had the violet color to it, that violet flame, but not
Mhm.
the flame, but it looked like it was coming off. I was like, oh, and then I just went, hey, Solaris. And then it was like we all knew each other. So I'm looking at all the non-human entities that are wearing human suits that are here with the creators as well. And because we're all creators down deep inside, it doesn't matter. We're all connected to prime, the prime source.
Right.
We're just on whatever level we're at, wherever we are. And then witnessing that and then still knowing it's you. That's mind blowing to me. So um also she discusses some of the different weapons they use against us,
Right.
mind control through technology. So that's very interesting since what we had happen here that time. So join us later tonight. I appreciate you if you can stop in and say what's up, everyone. And I appreciate you. Shout outs to the Fearless family. Let's see. Shout outs to Free Energy Mobile. Thank you very much, and sending you most positive vibes. Love you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, you can use as much cannabis as you want.
You could eat
Blueberries, yes.
blueberries. Yeah, I wouldn't eat too many blueberries that morning. That's coming up. No, it doesn't matter. Like you can eat blueberries all week if you want. Your fasting can include just fruit.
Yeah.
Like you can literally cut down your food intake and just eat fruit all day, and then like just drink a lot of water with that, and you'll be fine going into it. You know, what's wild. The next day after, because you're hungry that night, but if you eat like rice and some bread of some kind, like not a lot, and then you get a little bit of sleep and start working it out, and the next morning when you wake up, you could even have a half a bagel or something, right? And then drink again. This that weird feeling that you get from hunger and I can't deal with it and whatever. When the ayah hits you and
Yeah,
it
it goes
starts to
away,
work,
yeah.
all of that goes away and you get this empowered feeling. I did 29 days, 28 days on a water fast once. People thought I was crazy. I had the best experience in the world. I don't think I've ever been that clear prior to ayahuasca, ever in my world. So twisting and turning and moving those things together will work in your favor, and it'll be fantastic. And you can smoke cannabis as it's part of the sacrament and ceremony. I'm convinced. That's my personal opinion. Some people don't like it. I enjoy it very much. I smoke in the ceremony, and whenever I can, like I'll snap out of it halfway out, smoke a little, go back in. It's how you respect it, and what are you trying to do with this? What is your outcome? What are you bringing to the table, and what are you asking for? What are you doing? What are you capable of doing with all this? You're asking, right? So I work on all of that at a time. So I'll go on the other side and I ask, I submit, but I'm like, hey, why that? And they're like, okay, slow up. Let's just tell them why that, because of this, and this. And I go through that experience. I stunt myself sometimes by asking that many questions. Like I don't get to the end result until way later, even though I'm seeing all this stuff because I won't shut up. Something I had to learn. I'm sitting in silence trying to make it look like he's even more talkity yappy. I get it. I understand this. Thank you so much. We love you lots and lots and lots. So one of the other, what's this? Dun, 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 dun. There you go, right there.
Me too. Me too. I was on a antidepressant. I drank Aya. I completely stopped it, but the cannabis is what helps me, and that's just the way it is.
Does it help better?
Different, which is probably better.
The pluses definitely outweigh
Oh, absolutely.
the negatives
different.
on the other
Yeah,
side.
because you know what you're feeling is real. It's not a synthetic feeling.
I was on antidepressants for 2 weeks a very long time ago at the prescription of a doctor, and after a week, I felt no connection to my soul,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I just quit. And the doctor was like, "Are you crazy?" I was like, "I don't even know why you would give that to someone." I think another month of that, and if I walked out into the street and got hit by a bus, it wouldn't be like I was controlling me to do that.
Right. And that's the problem now. People are running the last 20, 30 years. People are running to take a pill to feel better. And we have to be more connected with what's going on inside of our bodies, and it's not a pill. Sometimes, like, I've used this in the past. Sometimes, when you have a headache, you run to get an aspirin or an Advil or Tylenol, and instead of just taking a minute or two and saying, maybe I'm dehydrated, maybe I just need a glass of water. But we don't give ourselves the time because our schedules are so busy, and you're working and you have 100 things to do after work, and you got to get your kids ready for school, and it's easier to take an aspirin. And that's what happens. You get caught in that loop. Like I was talking to you about this the other day when I was when I worked full time. I always got my flu shot because I couldn't afford to be out of work. I always got a prescription if I was sick because I couldn't afford to be out of work, because I worked for corporate. I was a salaried employee, but you always have to be working. Even when you're homesick, you have your laptop, you're working. There's very
Yeah,
rarely.
you would work just hanging out with me. You'd
I
just be
know,
doing
but I
stuff.
know, and I don't want to live like that anymore. And I'm not knocking it. I was able to do, like, look, my career afforded me a beautiful life. It really did,
It got you to this point.
but it was a life that was killing me. I mean, it was literally physically harming me, and I don't have any of those pressures on my body. Now when I'm sick, I can rest. I can rest it out. Now when I have a headache, I can take a minute to think about why I have a headache. Now, if I want to take a nap, I can take a nap. And that's valuable to me. That's that means something to me. And success is measured in a very different way for very different people. It's
Yes, success. What is
your success
success?
in your life is, that's very
Positive
different.
progression in the positive direction.
Right. And that's very different for people, but that's my success. That's how I feel about that. But that's how I feel about that. We measure it differently,
I'm like internally looking in my heart because that's where my success
Mhm.
lies, right? And what does it do? It branches from here to here,
Mhm.
from here to there.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know.
Boom, boom, boom. We got everybody with us tonight. Oh, they can't. They get on camera. They can't see everyone,
Okay,
but
good.
um, so and then it just jumps off, and I'm like, nah, I'm successful,
That's how I feel.
right? It's not the show. The show's a successful thing, yes, because we love to do it, and it brings us all together. The Fearless family, that's success. Like your my meeting you, success.
Oh, I feel the
The
same way.
fact that I don't do drugs, success.
Well, me too. I mean, honestly, I ran to the doctor. Look, I went to the a doctor my whole life, and in the last couple of years, I've been to the doctor. I think it's amazing. I went from going to doctors every couple of months to now, like, I see my generalist when I have to.
Yeah, and they go, "Where you been?
Where you
Haven't seen
been?
you in
You
a
look
long
great.
time."
You
It's
you
like, well,
you
I'm
know
taking care of myself best I
right.
can.
They don't want to hear it. They don't know that, right? Because the pharmaceutical companies, the pharmaceutical industry has completely brainwashed. I really do think they have programmed the doctors, because there's no hesitation when writing a prescription. It's like you can basically ask for anything you want and they'll give it to you. And, you know, I don't think it's supposed to work that way. And yeah, this is our family. This is where we come
All
to
right, look,
talk
this
about
is
anything we want to talk about with out
Judgment
judgment.
free, safe
That's
space.
why we have the group on Facebook, so you can talk or share or ask questions or give answers without being judged, without your information being shared online. You just come here and you have a conversation. You ask a
With
question,
others
you
that
get an
want that.
answer, or you can give an answer, or you can say this is what worked for me. I mean, I
Your faults are all right. So uh, this is one of the things about us as we grow. If I look at you and see faults, or you're like, I have faults, but you're growing through those faults, and you're becoming more you, and then you develop maybe new faults or whatever you might feel that.
hey,
Look,
let
your
me
imperfections are what make you
yeah, what
perfect.
make you you?
That's
Hey, let me tell you, that kid we talk about all the time, Frank's friend, the kid that works at the bank. We met him in the street, and I told him, look, Sal, anytime you're ready, I said, you come to my house, and I will give you a crash course in big boy stuff, like getting the apartment, getting renter's insurance, learning how to go to the supermarket, learning how to balance uh wanting to save for a car, wanting to save for an apartment, trying to keep a girlfriend happy. I said, we'll go through all of that, because if people would give you real information when you're young, and give you the tools that you need to start out the right way, and had real conversations with younger people in a way that they could understand, I think it would be easy for them, and their expectations wouldn't be so unrealistic about what happens now when it's time for you to leave home, or now time for you to start adulting, becoming an adult.
well, they do stuff like Common Core math now, and then don't teach you how to sign a check or pay a
Or
bill.
balance a checkbook.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
didn't learn
mean?
that
Like,
anywhere. I had to watch my mother doing it and then kind of be like, what the hell is going
right.
on here?
So it's programming. I mean, it's programming. Frank and I talk about it all the time, and it's like, if you can just accept that we live in a life where there are things that we cannot control, and we have to navigate around these things. You don't have to be a part of it. You don't have to get stuck in it. Like living above your means, I think it's something that everybody does, and I think it's something that Frank and I did for many, many years. And now that we're in a position where we're forced to live within our means, there's no problem with life. Like, it's not keeping up with the Joneses and getting the next best thing, and getting the latest technology. It's not about, I don't know, it's just very different now. It's not about going and doing and seeing, and
No, because it's time to
it's
work on
different.
you.
Yeah,
It's
it's
time
time
to
to work
learn how
on
to
you.
get along with the individual next to you. Ooh, this is what I
Right.
always say. Paula is to grow and become what she needs to become, right? It's my job to allow that to take place without someone else coming over and
Right.
interfering. Not so I control it, because the imperfection in that is the perfection. You let her grow and blossom, learn, experience, go through the motions, whatever the sacred feminine needs to do it, right? And as a male in this system, I learned how to keep that protected and safe, so no one comes over and starts pulling leaves off of it, taking without permission, and et cetera, right? But those imperfections that we find within that, in a person, you will find them to be quite beautiful at one level, because it makes you, depending on what the imperfection is. You shouldn't be killing people and stuff, but there's just wonderful things, top to bottom, in all the levels that's there. Those faults, well, she leaves the refrigerator door open 90% of the time, or squeezes the toothpaste. Well, you could come at that from love and say that's kind of cute, because luckily she has me there to fix the toothpaste
And to
and to
close the
close the
refrigerator
refrigerator
door.
door. Or you could be like, close the refrigerator door and stop messing with the toothpaste. And you're like, oh, okay. So you can choose to go at it one way or the other. But those little things that we see as faults can be quite beautiful. And then, especially to grow through them and not do certain things anymore and move on into the next step, that's awesome. So I'm just glad you're all in the now moment with us. Glad we're all capable of doing that,
No, but it's important, because
or at least start the process.
like, we interfere, and we put our nose where it doesn't belong. And I'm not saying look away if something's happening. It's your responsibility to take action if you think action needs to be taken in any aspect. But shouldn't have an opinion in what others do or say every single time. It's their life, it's your life. Like, even, Frank comes to decisions and I come to decisions, and sometimes the decisions are different, and then we have to talk about it, and of course we have to compromise because we're sharing space, so we have to compromise. You compromise where you can, and where you can't, you don't, and then you move on to the next thing. But that's what you should do in life. We don't have to. We don't have to.
If you
like,
want to keep a flowing momentum, you can't throw an anchor in the water and then connect a chain to it to your
no,
hip.
you want to float to the top, like
You
a
gotta
cork.
keep. You gotta keep flowing.
Yeah.
Do what you gotta do,
You know.
and then if you have to revisit, you come back to it and just kind of revisit it and then keep going.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and hold space until you answer the question and
Right.
change your ways, you filthy animal. It's like, no, it's not going to work. No matter how much you want to do that, that's not going to work.
Yeah, you have to be fluid. You have to just go with the flow. That's what they mean. Go with the flow. Just
like, if you another analogy, if you just walk up to a beach that has waves and you're like, yo, I'm a man, bro, I'm gonna just walk into those waves. How many before you get slapped right onto your head and then washed up either out to sea or back onto the land with the worst headache and all kinds of busted bones because you're just walking directly at the waves and letting them smack you.
Right.
Isn't it easier to just kind of
wade in? Yeah,
and
just
then
walk and wade and
ride the wave back?
Yep. But people think it has to be hard because that's what they were told or shown, or that's what they lived through, or that's what their families did, and it didn't work, but that's what they know. And it's time to stop all that. I was told my whole life, you can't, you won't, you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you shouldn't even try, and you shouldn't want these things. And I did everything in my life I wanted to do. And it was only because I pushed those voices out of my head. Like, people think they're doing well, they're doing good by you. They're being afraid for you, and it's only causing more fear. You don't know what you're capable of until you try something, and pushing those outside voices out of your head are important, no matter who it is. Right. Your mother, your employer, your lover, your best friend, because
you can't do that.
Everyone has an opinion of you based off of the idea they have of you, not the real you. That's why I tell Frank, like, sometimes we do things and we don't share what's coming next. We don't share the full idea because it's not for anyone to know but us. If I have an opinion on something, maybe I don't share my opinion with you because it's not for you to know. It's my opinion to keep for myself. And that's okay, because when you let someone into an idea, they'll give you 10 reasons why you can't, shouldn't, or wouldn't do that. And that might be the one sentence that talks you out of that idea. Why would you want that?
Well, Phil thinks it's stupid, so I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it because
Phil works in corporate, so apparently he's got to know something I don't know.
Exactly.
Well, his daddy just got on the job, and he don't know nothing.
Exactly. So it's like what we say. Phil. It's like, you don't ask someone that doesn't have money. Where do you think I should put my finances? You don't do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, all the questions that you need, you have the answers to. You just have to listen. And you have to trust yourself enough to come up with the right answer. And if you make this mistake because you think it's a mistake, it's on you, and you clean it up. It's not everyone else's fault. It's no one else's fault. If you allow things to happen to you, you allow things to come into your life that you don't want. It's your job to fix it, clean it up.
Yeah, my piece by piece, because it's layers that need to be broken through. He was like, well, if it wasn't for this guy, I would have gotten on with this, and if it wasn't for this would have happened this. And I'm like, yeah, but you got this instead, and that's better than what they have. Yeah, but you don't understand, because then from here it goes to that. And I'm like, yo.
Yeah, you already assign blame to everyone, and it has nothing to do with that.
And people just, I'm like, if I worked in that mode all the time, I would still dislike everyone in Heist Click that walked away. Right? Instead, I don't. I love them.
Right.
And that it is what it is. I had a great time with them, and that's what's up. And that now I bring it forward.
Right.
It's my job to do that.
A different period in your life. They had to move on for the reasons they had to move on. This is a different period in your life. The show, it's a moment in time. If
this is to help us get through that moment.
Exactly. And if it can't evolve while we're evolving, then there's no purpose in doing it if it's not going to evolve. The idea has to evolve. You have to evolve. If we're all going together, You know,
The
when
information changes, it
while this
becomes
shift is
different.
happening, we all have to stay very light, and we all have to be able to make the transition to go, or we're going to get left behind. But we'll know we got left behind because now you're awake. There's no excuse. You know when you're going, and you know when you're getting left behind. So stop with that residual fear. Let it go.
Yeah. So
Can't take it with you.
I was thinking about this because we had heard other people discussing this. I can't remember the names, but they were like, as timelines are condensing, just try to work with me on this, right? So it's like an infinite open thing like this, all the timelines, right? So it condenses down to a singularity, being you, right? So you're like in the middle right here, and then it goes right now. It has to do that. You have to do that to pass through, right? Paula's always saying, well, you can't take it with you. You can't carry the 50-pound backpack up the mountain all the way. Like, it's not going to work. It's holding you back from when you get up there, and you definitely can't jump into the pool with that thing. So you can't go through the point, the eye of the needle. You can't walk through the flame with that thing. So I was thinking about that, all that. There's no room. So you're like, what do you mean there's no room? So when I had stuff taken out of me, I'm like, oh, you're taking my ideas and my dreams and my life. And they're like, are we really, or are we cleaning it out? Because you're carrying it, and the stuff that you're carrying is like gunky and stuff. So they worked on me, and then I said, well, I still remember everything. And they're like, right, you're just not carrying it with you. So we're not taking anything from you. You're just leaving behind that which does not fit. But now with that thought I was having, we talk about the infinite loop. Here we go again. Right? So as you do the loop, there's an X point, right? That's the pass through from this loop into the next, right? Into the next round. It's like the eye of the needle. You're going to, I shouldn't. Frank was doing all kinds of crazy stuff on the show, but to go through the eye, I'm not going to do it over the one eye, so I don't want to hear it. To get through that, no matter what I do, it's just going to look terrible. But to get through that, you have to let that stuff go, or you're not going to fit. You're literally not going to fit through. You can't carry that into the next realm. So we have to start releasing all of the negativity, all of the judgment. We have to get, and shout outs to Jessica. Thank you so much. I love you, FearLess family. Positive vibes to you. I love you so much. So we have to get through this part of the loop by releasing our cycles and loops so we can be pure. And as these timelines collapse, you get what was in the other timeline, right? So you'll eventually gain full awareness of what was going on there, what had happened, if you went right instead of left, if you were a monster, if you were a smurf, or you were an alien. You'll get all that information. Your body is being prepared as because it's technology, it's flesh technology, it's a flesh suit, to hold all of that information. So you got to get rid of all the old stuff. The old way has got to apocalypse out. It's got to be like literally torn out of you so you can fit more of you in you, because that other stuff isn't you. You think that's what makes up you, but it's absolutely the opposite of what makes up you, right? It's just stuff that you collected along the way you no longer need. You're not going to carry tchotchkes into the fifth dimension, right?
Right.
Or the fifth density.
Right.
And that these are just words. And like Thor said, all words are made up, but it's just what we have right now to describe the frequency and the vibration variant that we're stepping into.
But they are like your loved ones on the other side. The only emotion they feel is love when they relay messages. Only love. No one ever comes back and says you didn't bury me in the blue dress. I thought you were gonna. There's none of that. It's just love. There's no room for any other emotions. So the fear and the guilt and the anger and the hatred, that all has to go away. That all has to fall. I know it's the coffee. It all has to fall away. There's no room to take it with you, because when you're coming up in vibration and your frequency is changing, there's no room for any of that. It's like Frank and I were talking about it. It's like when you hold on to these emotions that you don't need anymore, like the things that happened to you, the traumas that you didn't address, you basically lived a lifetime and you didn't address. It's like having a wall full of half filled, half packed boxes. And, like you have 50 boxes up against a wall and they're all half filled. You can't take all of that with you. You don't have enough space to put all of your things in. It doesn't work like that. That's all space that you're holding for feelings that you don't even have anymore. Because as you're evolving, you're not going to feel the same way you did about that particular thing as you did yesterday, because of the influence and the input and the information that you've received. You know that that feeling no longer suits you and you don't need it. So you want to get rid of all of that extra space that you're holding. You don't need it anymore. It doesn't suit you. You're not the person. Like it's like when I going back to like what I said before about, when you stumble and you fall, you start from right where you are. You don't go back a week and say, well, okay, it really started on Monday, so now I have 6 days to go back and try to fix. No, it doesn't work like that. You pick up from right where you left off and you say, today will be a little better than yesterday.
And it's never been a better time to start just doing whatever it is you want to do.
Now.
That's when
right
you
now.
catch the frequency and the vibe and you go for it.
Yeah,
Those
and
moments.
then you start gelling with people. People just get you, or people just know to stay away from you. It works. It's like a crutch and a curse. Like, you're gonna get everything you want, but you might realize that what you thought you wanted is now not necessarily so. You
I
really
was on
do
stage with the greats,
Yeah.
and I was like, "This, I'm great." I was saying to myself, "Yo, I'm awesome," because they were like, "Dude, this is great," and I'm like, "Oh, great," and none of them really liked me, and I didn't care. I was like, "I don't even want to be here. I'm not a clown jester. I've done my work."
Right.
And then I was fulfilled and moved on.
Right.
I got there and was like, "Nah, I don't think this is for me. I just don't. I like it better on this side over here doing this." Interesting, right?
But it is. I mean, we were talking about it the other day, like the things we used to do to entertain ourselves 10 years ago. Jumping through hoops to entertain yourself. Now it's like, what's on Netflix?
You can do anything now.
Yeah, because
back then we had, I remember when we had the payphone at the corner.
I remember that too.
That was the phone number everyone had.
I remember
and then
that
one
too.
Down a little further,
mm-hmm.
And then there's one by the Golden Eagle, and then we had those numbers written down in our wallets with a quarter or a dime.
I remember always going out, and at first it was a dime in my bra, and then it was a quarter in my bra, just in case I was out and stuck and I needed to make a phone call home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always had
years
it
ago.
in my
years
wallet.
And years ago.
I always
yeah.
had the quarter.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Mm-hmm.
And that little the little clothes pocket on it. It's like, what you doing in that little thing? I was like, Mama told me to keep a quarter in there.
Just in case.
Clean underwear in the glove compartment just in case something happens. Yeah, Parker. She's stuck on me. Okay. So Parker sits on my chest and just purrs on my heart.
She's clearing you right
now. Yeah, for sure.
Wake everyone up now.
It's that time. It's the siesta time is over.
Yeah.
It's time to get up and get rocking and rolling.
It's the witching hour. I think we should maybe we should end it soon because we have to get ready for Solaris.
I tell you, when the show is over.
Then tell me.
The show might be over.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, give us a little time to wash up and get prepared.
Make fresh coffee.
That needs a run through, I think. Yeah. I like this coffee pot. I broke 5 coffee pots
in 4 years.
And then we found one that works perfectly.
Yes, and it's been the saving grace of coffee pots.
I want to thank you all so much for joining us and spending time with us and having us tell this story and then growing together in this. Oh, wait, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about really quick because it's in the title of the show and we didn't get to it.
Okay.
And I feel like a dummy if I don't bring it up.
Okay.
All right. So it's kind of negative, but then with a positive twist. Okay. So the house next door to my grandparents' house burnt down the other night, right?
Yeah, they had a fire.
They
in
had
the
a
house.
fire, and the whole inside is burned down. So there was a point in the evening when my mother was explaining this to me, because she called and said to me, um, "Oh, the house is on fire. You can't get down the block." My house was fine, and the house next door and all the sides were fine. Just this one specific house. So everyone on the block in all directions dislikes the owner of this house. I've talked about him on the show, about him not trimming the yard
Oh,
down,
keeping this yard clean.
but
Yeah.
this isn't about that. Okay. But it is, because your house is on fire, and the neighbors were kind of like in a mode of not being very helpful. Right. So my mother was explaining this to me the next day. So I'll keep the story kind of short, but it's important that you understand this, because at moments you're going to be the person in the crowd that everyone looks to for whatever reason, right? And then it brings you either into the next level, and it shows you where you're at from the other perspective on that level. So people don't like the guy that owns it. They don't like the
Right.
people downstairs. They don't like.
So
They
they
don't
didn't
like.
want
They
to
don't like.
help, and
And
it's unfortunate.
my mother was like, "Yo, I went outside.
Oh
And
yeah,
was,
she took care of
there
business.
were kids in with no shoes,
No
no
shoes and
socks.
socks.
It's winter. It's winter. They're fighting internally with the owner, and the owner saying, "Don't give nothing to them," right? And they're yelling back at the owner. And my mother's just like, "Yo, there's kids in the street, no socks and shoes." See, we had a house fire. We lost our house. You had a house
Yeah, my
fire.
grandma had a house fire too.
So we understand, my family, what it's like to have a house
Yeah,
burned down and lose everything. So, but the neighbors were doing this thing where they were like frowning at my mother.
Yeah, and she went in and she got clothes and coats and food, and and it's like everyone has something laying around that they don't use, that they just have, and it would have been nothing for them to run in their houses and grab a spare sweatshirt or a pair of socks or an old pair of sneakers.
Yeah,
And
everybody's got
you
something.
know
Don't give me that. Right?
and that and it's fine that you didn't help, but then don't criticize the people that are doing
that do.
something.
Now here,
Don't get angry at the people who do decide to take action.
so one of the things I said to my mother was, "Isn't it funny?"
Good for you.
Right? I said, she goes, "You know me, I don't care. I'm just helping. I don't care what anyone says." And they're watching me and they're giving me frowns, like, "Why would you help these people?" So I'm like, "Well, Mom, the fire that's engulfing the clothes of the children and the people, it could be people. I mean, the owner's getting a t-shirt and a sweatshirt, as well as the kids that have no socks and shoes
Everyone,
on.
anyone
You're
who
getting
needs
it too.
anything,
So
yeah.
you're fighting. So the fire's not discriminating between who's going to lose something and not.
Right.
So shouldn't we drop all this?" And she's like, "Right." So I just keep moving and working, but everyone's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I said, "Isn't it funny? Every one of these people were just at church the other day.
Yeah.
Every one of them." How do I know? My grandmother was dead, so I was in the church and I
Yeah.
seen who goes to the church.
So you go.
Use the whole block.
You go to church to pay your respects.
I'm in absolute shock.
But during a time of need, you don't.
The one family that don't go to church is in there helping.
Yeah. So take action when you can.
Right. So I said,
and you give what you can. I'm not saying you have to be like Diane.
The lady
next
the lady next door, the next morning.
Oh yeah,
did something incredibly nice. Now I told my mother this, and then the next morning this happened, which was really odd, because I'm like, everyone who watched that said something nasty has to go home with themselves at night and has to live with the fact that they didn't help. And Diane, whose mother just died, the house next door, like, just on and on and on, is out there helping, not asking for
No, she's just helping. She's just doing what she can.
I'm just doing what I can, right? And then they have to go home and realize, like, yo, that was messed up, because you get 24 hours to think about it, and you're like, wow. And then you have to go back outside and see that there's kids not having a house, and so you can be in that layer of scumbaggedness, right? But then there you come out of it, because women that are mothers and stuff, they start to see that and they go, hey, well, what's going on? Oh, this is wrong. You're cutting through the fact that you didn't like the person. Right, it doesn't matter. They're gone. The house is burnt down.
Yeah,
they're not coming back.
The neighbor next door the next day started a fundraiser.
So she went to school and literally signed people up and did something really nice. So my mother's action in that moment set
yes,
wheels
it
in
sparked
motion
a chain of events.
that in the end was more helpful than harmful for everyone involved, because then people started pitching in. And I had said, once you get a moment, because to get over that initial reaction, right, we're Americans, everybody else, fuck off, like you got to drop that. Just got to be helpful. You just got to do the best I can, and you don't got to even overreach. You just do the best you can in the moment when you can, and you'll see that you'll be the light in the darkness
Right.
for all of those people, and then the chain reaction starts. Dun 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 dun. Okay, and before we go tonight, let me just share the screen one more time. Dun dun dun. Oh, look how cute you look. What's this thing you're wearing on your neck here? Because you have the best neckline ever, and you're not wearing it
Thank you.
tonight, so I'm wondering. I'm not wearing mine either, though. Look at that beard. That beard is quite excellente. Tonight, 12 midnight, New York City time, Raven Stars Witching Hour with Solaris Blue Raven. Join us over on Revolution Radio in Studio A. Look, there's the player right there. Blip. All you got to do is press play, get in there, listen to the show, talk to us, see what's going on. We'll upgrade and update and talk about all kinds of different stuff. And we're gonna end now, and just so we're prepared with the coffee and the energy to move forward into the greatest conversations on that a Saturday night could actually hold. And by the way, it's almost December. I just want to say that again. I don't understand. It's literally almost December. How do you feel about that?
I can't believe it. I feel like we missed the entire fall.
Right? It just jumped one thing to the other. Parker, hang out with me just for a minute. Okay, so, and for everyone else that's interested, anyone that is interested, wearefearless.com. Get down. wearefearless.com. wearefearless.com. We got great t-shirts. We got blankets. We got pillows. We got cool shirts that say hyperspace, fearless, ayahuasca shirts, DMT, spirit molecule hats. It's Christmas time. You want to do the right thing for yourself, and you want to promote that, which is the Fearless brand. We got it over here. You can come through and check it out. Look, we got boots. We got Kali boots. We got Raw boots. This is so great. Nick's a great artist. All the great artists from the site. My hat's off to everyone that has helped put this together. You guys are amazing. Fearless Tribe, t-shirts. I mean, it's come together. You get a band of brothers to kind of come together as one. I think there's jewelry up on the site. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Something for everyone for the holidays. So I love you guys so much. If you choose, check it out. I'd appreciate it. And we love you so much. Let me unshare this so I can say goodnight to you. Stop sharing these screens. We love you so much. Fearless Family, the Fearless Family, Facebook groups. If you go to join, remember to answer the question. I'm not even going to put up the banner tonight. You got to answer the question to get in the room, or I'm not letting you in. All right. It's good to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
You know, it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. Remember, the universe rewards bravery, and stay fearless.